just introducing me. My name is Emmanuel Valentin. I'm currently in charge of the marketing in the BU Windows inside the Saint-Gobain Glass. This is the business of glass. And in this business, we are pretty sensitive to the daylighting topic because, of course, and this is what I want to explain you, the daylight is an important topic for the indoor comfort. And I would say that the window and therefore the glass can bring a lot in this kind of topic. So let's start with the daylighting training. It will be mainly 4 parts: a short introduction, the basic principle, and then how can we characterize the performance and how can we design better building with good daylighting. So first, daylighting in general. I see some comment. Still okay? The sound is still okay? Can you confirm? Because I don't want to move further if there is any issue. All okay. Okay, great. So the main point is that clearly the humans are, I would say, we are pretty sensitive and on a positive way on the daylight. And in fact, we are more and more with the current way of life, we are more and more indoors. So this is a very important point. We spend, I would say, probably around between 80 and 90% of our time indoors. This is an important point because our, I would say, internal clock, if I can say, the circadian clock, is more or less, I would say, set on 24 hours. But the more or less is an important point. In fact, the 24-hour of our internal clock is not very precise. And the light and the cycle of the light during the day is very important to synchronize it and to avoid any, I would say, mismatch between the clock and between the hour frequent around the day. So the synchronization by the natural light is something which is crucial on the good mood and also the good health that the human can have. If, for example, you have a bad synchronization, you can have several, I would say, diseases. This kind of issue can be more or less heavy, but some studies show that you can have some issue, for example, with gastrointestinal disorder. You can have some problem with stress. You can lose good sleep if you don't have it, and the good sleep can induce some cardiovascular disorder. So they can have several, I would say, diseases due to this bad synchronization. So the daylight is in some way a way to, I would say, ensure that you have you avoid some issue with health, and in some times it can have also some impact on the health, but also the well-being and the happiness. I did not put it in the presentation, but the Nobel Prize of 2017 is for the Medicine Nobel Prize was given to people that demonstrate the link between the circadian cycle and the physiological impact that you can have on the human being. So this is exactly what I am explaining. So now if we come back on the building link, if I can say, the daylight can have some impact in different kind of building, as we spend a lot of time inside, and some more and more studies show that in, for example, healthcare buildings, school and office, there are some, I would say, studies that show that the level of light and the access to the natural light can give interesting impact. So typically in school, you can have better learning. In office, you can increase the productivity. And for example, in healthcare building, the idea to have, I would say, shorter time to have a recovery are more and more demonstrated and measured. So this is today what's happened if you apply the daylight to the fact that we spend more and more time inside. The access to the daylight indoor can help you in some extent to have a better mood, better health, and also a better, I would say, happiness. So this is more or less what I said before, the productivity in the non-residential. Typically in the non-residential, yeah, impact of mood, impact of stress, impact of job satisfaction. In health, so this is what I said before, but typically the school and hospital is more and more demonstrate. And after that, the benefit you can see is also based on the energy saving. So typically on the energy saving, I will show you more after, but in terms of energy saving, the excess of natural light, avoid to use the artificial light, and in some extent it can be interesting in terms of energy saving. We can have also some demonstrate in terms of sales for, I would say, so commercial buildings. So this demonstration for the commercial buildings was something that was done. Okay, it is not a very recent example, but they have this I would say study that was done in a group of stores that have or not access to natural light via a skylight. And on the 11 stores that were compared, the stores that have more daylight clearly show more sales and in fact the more productivity in terms of commercial results. So this is I would say some kind of funny example, if I can say, but I think more and more examples exist today. So I think I said already, I already described it, the different impact on health. I will not describe too much. I just say you that there is a lot of here. There is a lot of literature on that, probably more recent than this one as well. But and I'm sure that the last year Nobel Prize will probably increase this kind of literature and studies. So just keep in mind that the main demonstration are based on the fact that you have more the daylight help to I would say synchronize the circadian cycle, and the access on a certain part of the spectrum of the light can give you also some kind of better mood. So this is the point. After that, depending on which building you are, etc., you will see different kind of positive benefit. This is the point. So in terms of in residential, of course, you do not really wait for a benefit like better productivity, except if you have to make email for your boss. But this is something that can happen, and you do not wait neither for better recovery. You're not in an hospital. The benefit we are working typically now in terms of marketing in residential, so your home, more or less, are important for the energy balance to have light, free light, if I can say, and also in terms of what I described in terms of health effect are much more observed, not in direct short-term productivity, but much more on long-term health effect. This is what's happening in the residential area today. So an example on energy saving. In terms of energy saving, so this is a comparison. This is a source for France, but it's an example which I think is still valid. Okay. Here you have a construction, so it's kilowatt per square meter of building per year for different kind of building conception. So for a whole building with bad insulation, okay, consuming a lot of hot water and maybe with not adapted daylight conception, maybe small windows, bad orientation and so on, you have this level of consumption. And in this case, the light here represents only 5%. And as the buildings are better and better insulated, and together probably with better conception in terms of natural light access, you can see that the light is more and more the ratio and the need of the light is more and more important. And you can imagine that in the case of very well insulated building with good, I would say, conception in terms of hot water, then the light will have a significant part, I would say, of the total consumption of energy in the building. And in this case, clearly, the daylight becomes a key factor to improve a little bit more the global consumption of the building. So before, clearly, the bad insulation, the lighting was not the priority, but as soon as your building will be more and more efficient, the more the light and the access to the daylight will be important to have an even better building in terms of energy consumption. This is another example of what can happen. The fact is this is linked to the ratio, the size, if I can say, of the window on the building. You have here two pictures. One picture with, I would say, rather standard size of window, and here the same room. So this is a simulation. It's a rendering picture, but this is an example of how the indoor comfort you can have, the visual comfort you can have inside a room with two sides of window. And the fact is, as the glass is coming and the windows are coming more and more, I would say, efficient today in terms of insulation and energy efficiency, you can move more and more in a higher size of window. And going in higher size of window give you also access to this kind of, I would say, good, better visual comfort. So this is where we probably were today or maybe yesterday in terms of area, so 10% of glazed window, and probably the fact to go until between a little bit more than 25%, probably something like here, will give you, of course, higher daylight autonomy, and the daylight autonomy is here, and in parallel, the decrease of energy consumption, mainly because you are able to catch the free solar gain of the sun, and in parallel with the improvement of the performance of the window. So keep in mind that it is not because you are larger window that the energy efficiency will be less good. The performance of the new window gives you the access to have better energy efficiency together with and combined with, of course, better light and visual comfort. So this is what we are doing, and this is my job today. We have a very new glass, insulated glass. And in this case, what we demonstrate is that with this insulated glass, with the same size of window, putting this new glass, which is very much more transparent, but still with good insulation, will give you access to a higher light. And it is like if you change your window, you do not change the size of the window, you just change the glass, and changing the glass by this new glass give you access to some kind larger window, larger glaze area, and in this case, more light. Okay, and one more time, today it's clear that the excess of the light is something which is, I would say, used for a long time ago in some old building. And now the key question is how to do it probably better or as good as it was in the past with the new building we have today. There are several type of building, several type of application. As you can say here. This is an office. This is a residential building. This is a hotel or an airport, bibliothèque. So all these kind of application needs light, and the way to give access to the natural light is something which is very interesting. If you manage it properly, it can be very interesting. But the key point is what we see. If you do not manage it on a correct way, okay, have a lot of light can be also uncomfortable. You can have glare, you can have too much heat inside, and the way to do it properly and the way to I can say to design the building is very important to have to catch the benefit of the daylight without the drawback of glare, of summer comfort, too high temperature, and so on. Okay, so this is something I will develop after. So what are the basic principles of daylight? So the light is of course coming from the sun. So this is more or less what is describing the light coming from the sun. So the light comes here, and this is the atmosphere here. And the fact to come inside the atmosphere, you have a part of this, I would say, energy, this light, which is reflected. Another part that it transmits, of course, and arrive directly on the Earth, and a part which is absorbed, and another part which is diffused by the atmosphere. In the atmosphere, you have water, you have pollution, and you have cloud, and this part is diffused. So remember, more or less, you have a big part which is transmit, of course, this is the sun, this is directly. There is a part which is absorbed, and a part which is diffused. So we will more be interested by the transmit part and the diffuse part. The absorbed part is less important, and of course the reflected part is not our base. In terms of spectral definition of the light, so the sun sent us. This is here. You can see here the purple curve here show you what exactly the spectra, the light spectra that come on the Earth. Okay, so here you have an example of absorption of the light. This is a typical absorption of water, which is in the atmosphere, and then you see that a part of the light is absorbed, and you do not see this area. The fact is, the important part for us is the visible part. This is what we see. This is what impacts directly the daylight. The thermal part here, the infrared part, is much more something we manage to avoid overheating. This is what I described before. And for the very far far part of the spectra, it is much more a way to keep or to have insulation of the window. But typically, keep in mind that for the daylight topic, we will only be interested on the visible part. So to summarize, we will concentrate on the visible part of the spectra that is transmitted and diffused by the atmosphere. This is our topic. Now you can, this light that comes inside on the Earth, you can describe it as a 4 component. So this is a window here, the black square here is a window. Here you have, it's some kind of simulation, and this is the number of lux here that arrive inside the room, okay? So this is the direct sun, so this is the direct ray of the sun that come inside the room here, you can see here. You have also the direct impact of the diffuse light, so this is what arrives inside the room, and all this level here are more or less the diffuse light that come through the window, okay, and then is coming inside the room. And after that, you have what is indirected generated in terms of light inside the room. So this is the bottom part here. This the light you have here, okay, that reflect on the wall, give you indirect I would say light source on the wall. So this is what we call the indirect sun. And the indirect sky, on the same way, is what this, I would say, the light that reflects on the wall generate additional light on the wall around. So this is more or less the way the daylight is described in the building. You have on the top the direct light that come in, the direct from the sun here, okay? The direct more or less for the diffuse light. And after that, these two components direct, which are putting a light on the wall, are on there after that generating additional light inside the room. And the total is more or less, the integration is here, and you see put all together what is generated in terms of natural light inside the room. So this is another way to represent it. You have the daylight that comes through the atmosphere with the diffuse part, the direct part, and then after that you have what is directly coming inside the room, what is reflected on the wall from the sunlight, the same for the indirect, and after that you have all the components, and this is what is generating the daylight inside the building. So this is another way to see it. This is the direct light, this is the indirect light, and you have also the diffusion you can have also here. No, I would say some how can I say it? Some parameter to measure. So sorry, the slide there is some issue with the writing on the slide, but okay, you have to in terms of metrics. This is the word I was looking for. In terms of metrics, you have the lux. So this is clearly the amount of light which are just coming on the surface. So this is something you probably know very well. The level of flux is just describing the amount of light. Okay, this is the important word. Then you have the luminance, which is expressed in candela per square meter, that measure more or less how a surface is bright and is able to reflect efficiently or not the light that is coming on. So more or less the luminance just describe how efficient a surface can become a new source of light when it is exposed to a direct light. More or less, if you have a sun which is coming on some kind of white wall, this white wall will be, in terms of luminance, far better than a black wall, and the luminance will be lower for the black wall. This is the example. So these are the two main, I would say, illuminance and luminance are the two important metrics you have to keep in mind. And then you can compare these different levels. So the sunlight is in terms of illuminance. You have the different illuminance level you have. So the moonlight is probably the lower, the sunlight is the top, and you have several types of typical illuminance. How can I see circulation, zone, lighting? So we will see it after, but the level of lux you need to work indoors, if I can say, are ranking between 300 and I would say 500 to 700. So we are in this area. You see that the sunlight is very, very high, it's very heavy, and the moonlight is very low. But the human eyes are very, very sensitive as well. But if we talk about comfort, keep in mind that this is this level we have to keep in mind. And in terms of illuminance, so you can see this is the efficiency of the light source, and you can see different kind of different potential source. So a white paper exposed to 500 lux give you an illuminance of 100. The sailing are much more at 500. The blue sky is very high. The sunlight you cannot, you can consider some kind of secondary source, but this is the level, the top level you can have. And you can see also a white paper exposed to a very low level of light is pretty low. So this is the different, I would say, level we can have. In terms of secondary source of light, you can also have in mind that in terms of visual comfort, the global color inside the room can give you different perceptions. So this is the typical example. I'm sure you already saw that, but the central square here have the same color. And the point is, depending on the surrounding color here, of this frame, you feel that this one is brighter than this one. But in fact, all central square are the same gray. And this also changes a lot the visual comfort perception you can obtain inside the room. So now we are coming a little bit more and more in the way to design a visual comfort. So we will come back after, but this is important. Okay, on top of the pure metric point of view, there is also the perception and the way your eye feel comfortable because you have or not like this, you have or not, I would say, a difference of color, contrast, if I can say. And in this case, the visual comfort is also a part of that. It's not only have access to the daylight. If you have too much light, too high lux level, that it will not be comfortable. So you can speak about the level of light, and all the question is to know what is the level, which level is good to have a comfort. The sound is still off. At this time, I cannot do anything. Are you alone to Mr. Yasser? Are you alone to have an issue? Can you hear me? Gabriel or someone else is so everybody can hear me except Yasser Atia. Okay. Okay, so everybody can hear me except one. Should I continue? I think I will continue. I don't know. The issue is not coming from my side this time. I'm sorry for that. Okay, so I'll move further. So these different perceptions are important. It's not a, if you come inside the comfort definition, okay, the level of light is important, but the conception and the contrast that the human eye will perceive will also will become more and more important in terms of visual comfort. So now, in terms of level of light and daylight, if I can say, there are several factors that influence the daylight. Of course, we talk about that, but the climate condition is of course important. A clear sky, you will have more direct sun than diffuse light, and in the other. For this one, it will be reverse. The season is also important here. In summer, the sun is even higher and the light is coming like this. In winter, the sun is lower, if I can say, and the light will be more like this. So that means that in this case, we will have much more, in case of clear sky, you will have much more direct light, and you are probably more exposed to glare issue and something like this. The building orientation is also important, linked first to the way the sun will come inside, but you will be more exposed to direct sun in east-west orientation. In the south orientation, you will have probably more high sun. So the building orientation and the size of the window in this building orientation will define, of course, the level of daylight. So the size of the window is, of course, very important. The way you distribute it. If you put several windows on one side or one large high window, this will define the way you obtain. The fact to have also roof window or not can influence. Okay. We discussed it before, but the color of the internal wall will obviously define whatever the diffuse or the direct light. It will define this, in this case, much more the visual comfort. In terms of daylight access, of course, the external environment will define the level of light that coming inside. In this case, for example, with a lot of tree and vegetation around, clearly you will lose a lot of light. I have a personal experience on my side. I remove a tree near my home, and clearly the effect was definitively it was important. So this is important. Also in this case, for example, in sea or in mountain during winter, the level of light can be very important due to the reflection on the ground. And what point which is important, of course, is the occupant behavior. If you are exposed to glare, then you will put some blinds, and very often the use and the way to use the blind can be unproductive and limit in some extent the daylight access in not a proper way. So sometimes you want to manage a glare, you let the blind down, and you let it all the day, and at the end you have not light enough, and you turn on the light, the artificial light. So this is something that happens very often. So the glare, I talk about this. So the glare is something important. You can have some, I would say, very visual effect like this one. The contrast is important here. It's very uncomfortable between here and here. The reflection in some, I would say, building environment can be important as well. So this, the glare is something that is linked, and it's a way, the management of the glare is a part to obtain the visual comfort. The level of light is important for the health, obviously. Too much light is becoming less comfortable, and the way to manage it is the key. So now, how to characterize the light? So I told you before about this level of luminance and illuminance. Today there are some, there are more and more labels, building labels. So this is much more for non-residential building, but the BREEAM, the DGNB, the HQE, and the LEED are labels which include inside some recommendation in terms of luminance level, in terms of flux, and so on and so on. So the daylight is now included in this kind of label, and this defines in some extent some performance criteria for building conception. So this is what I told you before. Typically, the recommendation in terms of building this kind of label. This is in terms of illuminance, 500 lux. For residential is lower. For office, it is the illuminance that are recommended to make a writing or a reading work. In residential, it is not exactly the same level. And the contrast, you can see also the contrast. You need to have to limit the contrast. I showed before in the previous picture, to have a certain level of visual comfort to allow people to make in a comfortable way their work, reading or writing. But at the moment, yes, this is important. There are recommendations, but in some extent it's very difficult because it depends on the perception of the people. So some people can be very comfortable to work at 500 lux, some other will not be comfortable at 500 lux. And this is why there is no real consensus on the level of light you need to be comfortable or to do a very specific task in a specific building. So I will skip this one because it is more or less something I already described before. Same for that. So now 2 metrics which are important. Today you can, even if there is no consensus, there are some metrics to define the daylight inside the building. The first one is the daylight factor. Okay. So the daylight factor, this is exactly what is right here. It is clearly based on a measurement of illuminance, okay, under very specific conditions. So it is a ratio between 2 illuminance, inside, indoor and outdoor, and then you obtain a certain percentage based on this ratio. So it's very easy to calculate. You measure under this standard, I would say, condition, the illuminance outside, the illuminance inside, and then you have the daylight factor. Very easy to do. It is put in some label, but the way to do it is, to some extent, do not take in account the season, the climate, and the orientation. Typically, it is you make it on one building, which is clearly, yes, the size of the window will define clearly. We clearly define the level of daylight factor. But if you do the same measurement in winter or in summer, for sure the daylight factor will vary. So this is the key point. which is not so reliable, if I can say. Huh? So this is the demonstration of what I said before. You have here two pictures, here and here, with the same level of daylight factor. Here you are in north orientation, here you are in south orientation. In absolute value, the daylight factor is the same, but your eye perceives that in north facing, you have less light, and maybe, depending on you, maybe you feel less comfortable here than here. Okay, here you feel more light, and maybe it's more what you are looking for. However, the daylight factor is the same. Okay, the size of the window is the same, so you have the same building, but here you feel probably more daylight than here. So this is the limitation of the daylight factor. So you have an alternative matrix, which is the daylight autonomy. And in this case, the daylight autonomy is not a ratio between two levels of illuminance. It is based on time to reach a level of illuminance. So it's a fraction of time to reach a level of illuminance inside the room. So the good value, the guidelines are much more, in this case, higher, of course, than what we are talking in terms of daylight autonomy. It's not the same matrix. But the main advantage is that in this case, you are clearly, you keep in account the climate and the orientation, and you also keep in, and also the latitude in which your building is. It's also something that is easy to understand. You can easily understand that the level of daylight is some kind of integration of the light access you have over the day, if I can say it like this. So it's some kind of sum of the light you can have during your daily life, if I can say. And the way to calculate it take into account much more parameters than the daylight factor. So this is an example of different daylight autonomy depending on the latitude, as I said. If you with the daylight factor you don't have it. With the daylight autonomy, you see that the daylight autonomy is increasing with the latitude. The daylight autonomy with the same type of building here and here, the daylight autonomy increases for south orientation compared to the north, and also compared to the west. So this is probably much more realistic with the real constraint in terms of that exists today. And this is why this daylight autonomy is the criteria that is that Multicomfort Saint-Gobain building are using today. And the recommendation is 60%. All the Multicomfort, I would say, building today are recommending and are in agreement with the 60% of daylight autonomy. The glare. So the glare, I will not spend too much time. This is something which is very important. But the fact is today the glare is something, I said that before, the daylight is something very difficult to define. The glare is even more difficult to define today and measure today. So these are examples that are defined, but keep in mind that this is something that exists, but I would say work is ongoing to define the metrics for the glare. Today this is important. So we'll see if there is a better way to define the glare, which is a part of the visual comfort. So this is what I said before, exactly. The visual comfort here, this is what we want to reach. The daylight, obviously, is important for the health, but is an important parameter to reach the visual comfort. So the daylight availability is important. the distribution of this daylight in the room is a part and is very important in the visual comfort you can reach. The glare and the management of the glare is a part also, is another parameter to reach this visual comfort. The well-being, the visual comfort and the well-being are linked, but the connection with to the outside view is a part of the well-being. So, yeah, the visual comfort, if you do not see a real life outside, this is something that, okay, impact the visual comfort, but it is much more linked to the well-being you can obtain. And today, the light spectrum, we heard sometime some things about the blue light and the impact of the blue light. The blue light gives you the different light you have inside the visible light, give you some impact on the physiological physiology of the human being. So we are coming back on this. I told you that, okay, the circadian cycle in terms of the pure absolute value of light is impacting the physiological way of the human being. But there are some studies that are showing that different type of light in the visible light are clearly impacting the physiology of the human being. Okay, so this is ongoing as well. So now some interesting point for conception of building. There are some simulation tools that can give you visual viewing and also calculation of level of light inside a room, depending on the size of the window, depending on the orientation, depending on the wall, how far the window is from the wall, and so on and so on. So there is Dial, Radiance, Archiwizard. So these tools are today exist. Each tool have probably more specific, I would say, benefit or advantage, if I can say. Sometime to calculate the level of light, some kind to better have a visualization. So keep in mind that this exists. This is in continuous development. Now, the last part, I will do it quickly. I don't want to go over the time. How to design building with a good daylight. Huh? We said before there are several factors that can influence the daylight and the level of light you will have inside the building. So orientation is obvious. The size of the opening and the position is obvious. The color on the interior wall is obvious. And the way to distribute, clearly the distribution of the light inside is something that is important. You can see here, this is an example of, this is a sun tunnel. You can bring the light here in an area where there is no room inside inside the building. This is something that is also exists today. So a few examples just to finish. So this is based on I'm not sure which kind of calculation simulation tool is it linked, but this is an example where you have the level of illuminance in candela per square meter. The higher, the more hot, if I can say, the higher you have the light inside, and you can see that if I'm right. So you have 75% of window area. This is a very high glaze area, if I can say. You see here how does it look like. You see here the level of candela you have, and you see here that you are as you are far to the window, the level of candela is lower. So in terms of the daylight autonomy here, the daylight factor, I'm not sure about that. But here, yeah, here it's interesting. You see the level of flux here. This is here it's a representation of the level of flux, depending how far you are from from the wall. And you see here that you are until probably here. This part is more or less here. Oh, sorry, here, if I can say. You are at 300 lux, which is more or less what is the guideline, meaning that in all this area you are above 300 lux. Probably very too high here, but this area is a good area to have work in a comfortable way. Now, another type of room with less window. Typically, I don't have the level of window, but the fact that the window are placed like this, and the fact that you have some table here, give you another distribution. And here you still have the level of 300 lux, and you see that in this part on the middle here, the level of lux is clearly below 300. So that means that the people that are working on the table will do it probably needing artificial light. Same picture as before with less window. Okay. In this case, you see clearly the effect. Before we were here to have 300. In this case, we are only here, meaning that we decrease by, I would say, by half the area where the level of light is above 300. In this area, it's less comfortable. You will probably need light from the bottom to work, from the top, sorry, to work. And the size of the room is also important. So here we are back with the first example with 75% glazed area, but as deep is your room, you will be comfortable until only here. Here it's okay. Let's say like this. Here it's not okay because you will need light here. Impact. Well, this is the same as I said before. Impact of internal partition. Obviously, the 300 is okay here. Here it's okay. Here it's not okay. You are here at here you are below. Here you are okay. Here you are not okay. This is what happens with the effect of partition like this. Even if you have a large window area. So I think I finished. Sorry, I hope I think I'm just in time, but I have already some question. Are these special software to analyze daylighting? What do you mean by analyze daylighting? The special software gives you a visualization of the level of light and also distribution of the light inside the room. Analyze I don't think, I don't know, I'm not sure what you want, what do you mean by analyzing? You do not analyze the light. The spectra is not analyzed by this kind of tool. The software gives you a distribution and the level of illuminance you can have inside the room. This is most of the software gives you this kind of information. I hope I answer properly to your question. Any more question? You're welcome. Do not hesitate. I finished the presentation. If you have any question, I'm happy to answer. Okay, since there is no question, I hope I was clear in what I explained. I don't know. I think that Gabriel will provide you the presentation in any case. And if you have any question, feel free to ask afterward. And we will be happy to answer and give you more, I would say, more lightning on this question of daylight, if I can say. Okay. So should I wait for some more question, or should we finish now? Can we use other software for the lighting simulation, or do we use multi-comfort house designer? I think this one should be better answered by Gabriel, I think. We have some software we use on the Saint-Gobain glass side, but I'm not sure which one is used for the multi-comfort house. For sure, it's not a specific one. I'm not sure. Gabriel, if you can answer, you will answer better than me on this part. Gabriel, are you still here? Hmm. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for the. I prefer he will answer better than me. Thank you.